Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm about a minute late. So let's get going. All is well. Just gonna wait a couple of seconds before I start. Today was just a pretty low-key day. I got some things done. I had to run a few errands, so it was a really non-stressful day, which is great. Loving it. Was prayerful for that. So I was able to get some much needed studying and work done without attending the corporate sponsor and doing some other things. But it's been well and it's been blessed. So just wait. Good evening, Sister Marilyn. How are you today? We are definitely awesome. We are going to get started in less than 2 seconds. Less than 2 seconds with day 25 of healing the wounded heart. Let's get going. So I'm doing really well. Been blessed. Had a really low-key day. Had to do some errands, take care of some things. Didn't necessarily have to go into the corporate sponsor, so it made it worthwhile. So I'm a little bit more refreshed today, so I'm grateful to God for that. So grateful to be here this evening. We're going to get started on day 25 of a 40-day devotional for healing the wounded heart. This one is titled Blessed. And we're going to be coming from Ruth, the 4th chapter and the 16th verse. And the King James Version says, "And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it." And in the New Living Translation version, it states that Naomi took the baby and cuddled him to her breast, and she cared for him as if it were her own. And what our devotional says is that the women are now calling Naomi blessed for the love that Ruth has shown her. When Ruth gave birth to her son, Naomi was very active in the care of that child. That child grew up to be the grandfather of King David and in the genealogy of Jesus. So let us discuss when we're talking about being blessed of God. Being blessed by him can come in several different ways and several different methods. As for Naomi, who was a widower, and then, of course, with her 2 sons dying, in those days and ages, women who did not have a male heir or a male, protector, they didn't fare well. It was very not safe for them to not have someone to carry on the family name or to care for them after such things happened. And so when Ruth's husband passed away, which was Naomi's son, Ruth had the opportunity to go back home, to remarry, have the covering of her father and her parents, which usually would happen in the event of, a death of the spouse. And there was no family member to step in. And she decided she wasn't going to do that. Again, she decided she was going to stay with Naomi, and that Naomi, wherever Naomi went, she was going to go. And because of that faithfulness and that love, when Boaz came and bought the land and restored them to the status to being able to re-inherit and then prepare for a successor, it also put Naomi back into that foreplay of being also redeemed as well. So when they called her blessed, it brings me back to the 23rd Psalms when it says, "Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies." So, of course, when Naomi lost her husband and her sons, the people in the town and around was like, she's messed up forever. She's never going to be able to hang her head, come back into this, do anything. So when Ruth was diligent and being obedient and making sure that she was searching for a way to restore the family and was successful in doing so, Ruth has come back up into the platform. And now she's considered blessed, not only because she had her daughter-in-law who just loved her and cared enough for her to stay around, but she has now blessed her with a male heir so that the family name and everything is continued. And when God blesses you, when he prepares that blessing for you, he makes sure it's going to last from generation to generation. What we may see as a temporary, not even temporary, because sometimes when we look at it, we feel that it's a permanent stake in what is going on. It's not permanent. It may look like it is. It may take some time. You're still in that waiting season, but the overall purpose of God still is going to be fulfilled. And it took time. So Ruth couldn't go off and just marry any old one. She couldn't just go off and do anything. There was a process that needed to take place in order for the house of David to come into play. And so again, what happens in our waiting season, we don't see the entire purpose laid out. And so therefore we begin to get weary because we don't see the end game. And God has the end game already in place. He knows what it's going to be and he knows what steps needs to happen. So therefore our faithfulness, our dedication, our due diligence at being where he wants us to be allows us to then see the next step. And even though there's a point in time, I don't believe Naomi could see the next step, she had faith. Even though she was angry at God sometimes and she voiced that, she still had faith that she would be restored. And therefore, she lived accordingly. She instructed Ruth accordingly. And because Ruth also had that same faith, Ruth acted accordingly. She took Naomi's counsel, and when in taking that counsel, she was able to secure Boaz, as the Redeemer. Was there other family members? It could have been. It could have been other family members. I know they do send a word that was one that did come forward, but he wanted to buy the land, but he didn't want Ruth. It was like, okay, I can't mess up my own inheritance by bringing her on board. So therefore, he was considered null and void because Boaz wasn't just going for the land. He was going to restore Ruth and the land so that she can then bear the male heir to continue on the lineage of the family. So when you think about where you are in your day to day and you wonder, how can I, what's going on? How is this working for me? Just know that God is behind the scenes laying out the next step. So it may be hard. It may be difficult. People are laughing at you. They think you crazy. They don't understand why are you connected with this particular person, because God has said, I want you to connect with this person, be with this person, and nurture this person. And they think you're crazy. People think you're crazy. However, God's plan never seems conventional. His plan is never in a box. His plan will always nudge you and make you feel uncomfortable and take you out of that comfort zone. His plans have ups and downs. And that is one thing I do love about the word. He not only shows you what his end is, the glory of it, but he also shows the struggle of it so that we know that even through the struggle of it, he's still there, but then he's going to always reward us. So I appreciate that we don't have this, I don't have this rosy expectation that God is just going to come in, it's going to clear it up, and I'm not going to struggle, I'm not going to suffer. That is not the reality. There is waiting periods for everyone. If you think about it, Jesus was his son. And he had to wait 30 years before he was officially announced. You look at Moses, Joseph, Noah, they all had to wait. So, and he shows in that waiting period what it looks like, what they had to do. So in Naomi's waiting period, she had to go through some heartaches and some trials and tribulations. She had to go through that bitterness, but then that bitterness had to be purged. She had to restore the faith, rebuild it back up, then nurture Ruth to the point where Ruth needed to do. The waiting season is all about that. It's all that. So once you go through all of those things, you get the redemption and you get the blessing that was promised to you. So definitely hold out for in your waiting season. It can be difficult. It can be trying, and you just don't know when you may come out of it. But his timing is amazing. Because when he brings you to that blessing, when he does the redemption and when he gives you that blessing, you're ready for it. He doesn't have to worry about you going astray with it. He doesn't have to worry about you misusing the blessing. Once you get it, you're going to cherish the blessing. You're going to nurture the blessing, and you're going to expand the blessing. So enjoy your waiting season. Enjoy it. It is preparing you for the greater. It is preparing you for a blessing that you thought you knew, but it's even greater than what you thought you knew. That waiting season is strengthening your mind and your soul. It's strengthening your resolve. It's giving you that patience. And it's burning out the inconsistency, the unhealthy motives that you may have associated with what you think your blessing is going to be. The waiting season is a purification process. Just like you don't just buy gold, they don't mine for gold and you're just like, I'm just going to wear it. There's too many impurities that makes it unstable in its natural state. So what it does, it goes through a firing process and it is hot, but it's meant to burn off those impurities. So once it is formed into what is desired to be, whether it's a ring or a pendant or a necklace, it's stable. And its true value then shows, and its purity of it then shows. So trust me when I say the waiting season is a great place to be. And if you're saying I'm still in it, there's still some things he's working on, because he wants you to be so ready when that blessing comes that you don't have to worry about anything else, that you can really go ahead and take it and run with it and expand it and be the best and take it to the next level. But you can't do that before you're ready. You can't do it before you're ready. So get ready. Study. Be patient. Pray. Look to what that expected blessing is going to be. So once it happens, you can nurture it, expand it exponentially beyond anything else that can be imagined, so that it can be passed down to your children's children and from generation to generation. Look at the house of David, which is the lineage of Jesus, who sat on the cross for our sins so that we can be here to this day to seek God, love him, and work towards the purpose that he has for us. So in your waiting season, it will come. And once the final redemption has happened, that blessing will be bestowed upon you. And it is amazing. And it is wonderful. And it's beyond anything you can imagine. I want to thank you this evening for joining me for our 25th day of our 40-day devotional, Healing the Wounded Heart. Join us tomorrow evening as we delve in day 26. And I want to always leave you with this. Always be kind in your word, in your thought, and in your deed. Be blessed, and I will speak with you soon. Bye-bye.